welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscapes of Scotland. And today, for this little adventure, I'm starting off here at Auchmithie, which is a little traditional fishing village. And it's mad because all these butterflies are just sitting on the road and they're getting the heat from the sun here. It's like the last sun of the evening and these butterflies are out here just soaking it all up, and they're just sitting there quite tame. This is an absolutely beautiful area down here at the old abandoned harbour of Auchmithie, and quite often this road here gets washed out when there's storms. So recently I think it was fixed. I can actually see the front of that house is starting to crack and actually lean down the hill. And that would be a bit precarious, having your property that close to the mad coastal cliffs here. This is the east coast of Angus, looking out over the wild North Sea, and you can see the red sandstone on these cliffs beside me. So check it out, folks, the weather's a bit more calm down here at the bottom of this massive cliff. And to my left here, this is actually the old abandoned harbour, which used to be an incredible hustling, bustling fishing community here. The fishing community of Auchmithie. Check this out, folks. This engine and stuff's actually moved since I explored here a long time ago. Check this out, a massive anchor right here. That's a hefty big chunk of metal right there. But yeah, this engine has actually rolled over. Maybe just with the years of decay on the wood which was supporting the engine, it's eventually just toppled. And I believe it's a twin Lister engine. Wow, yeah, it's crazy how stuff like this decays and changes over the years. It must have toppled because the wood below it just rotted out. You can see this is actually a decompressor lever. When you get it spinning, you flick that down to give it full compression, to get it fired up. And you can just imagine that boat chugging about out in the waters here. And this used to be a grand harbour with the high wall leading out right to that far corner. And then this internal harbour wall used to lead right in. Check it out, folks, the massive cement construction of this old harbour. And when the tide comes in, the sea comes right up to this area. Nowadays it's pretty much full of seaweed and stuff. I've never seen it with the tide so far out here. It's incredible to see. I'll climb along the top of this ancient piece of history, folks. Yeah, there is some old pictures online of this place when it was in its original glory, and I have included them on previous explores when I was here. But today it's more of just a wee adventure, having a walk about, documenting it once again, seeing if any more of it's actually washed away. Look at these massive metal loops here, which at one time the boats were tied to when they were moored in this wee harbour. Yeah, this end wall here just continuously keeps eroding away and falling down more and more. When I used to come here originally, you could go right along the top of there. It was the same height as this left hand side, and it used to lead right along there with like an arch underneath it. And that shows even within like the 10 years since that time, it's changed so much. Look at the old ladders and things still tied on in there. Maybe a couple of boats could use this in certain like circumstances, but wow, this is crazy at this end. The force of the North Sea is just incredible and scary, and that's what carves these places back to nature, flattens them. The big waves crashing into that, it's just such an extreme force. All this here used to be like harbour wall, but you can see the big chunks of it which are now just lying on top of the stones. It's a mad scene right here, folks. A mad scene of abandoned history at its finest, this time coastal history. And you can actually see the old corner pillar of the harbour wall right here. Check it out, folks, this is the old corner here, which is special. You can see how it's been carved, shaped like a circle. And it's just some crazy coast. There's like arches in the stone and stuff way in the distance. And then this cement work just stands as a skeleton to tell the story of history here at Auchmithie. You can just imagine the sailors or fishermen of the time coming in here after their fishing trips, bringing back the haul. Maybe there was parties of people here waiting on them coming home. But little villages like Auchmithie were actually created and built around the community of the fishing. Look at this, folks, I'm taking a secondary route here. That stone looks freshly broken. When the sea's crashing in here, it'll be a mighty force. And that wind today, it's just blowing everywhere. No matter where you go, from coast to glen, the wind is just so extreme. Check it out, the harbour wall's been built in sections. Here's one of the joinings of the sections here. Wow, what a landscape right there, folks. It's like we're walking about in a postcard right here. A Scottish postcard. And it's mad to think how they built this with the cement and the rebar through it, like we've seen with a lot of constructions on the channel, of industrial purposes but also military purposes. The way they used to build things back at that time is so impressive. You can see they've used the pebbles that they probably found lying around on these beaches. They often used all the ingredients that they had near at hand. And it's just so special to see this. I'm just imagining the people maybe coming off the boat with the crates of fish in their hands. And I think like little huts like the one at the end of the beach there, I think they might have been used for sorting the fish out. And they may have had like an ice house and things. There was probably little sheds and stuff that's all gone now. Either demolished or potentially just even rotted away. Because of the amount of years since a place like this was in its prime. Look at this, I can't remember seeing this hump here in the ground. So I'm not sure if there's been maybe a sewage pipe or something worked on in this area recently. This looks like a more recent addition to the harbour here. Anyway, I'm just thinking, because the tide's so far out, we'll take a walk round to the caves at the far side. So this cliff here behind the Auchmithie harbour is just so big. It's almost got like a cave here underneath it. And most times I've been here, the sea's always kind of rolling in. The tide actually cuts you off at this spot if you don't get back around in time. Yeah, look, somebody's had a wee camping spot here. Just think, right now, folks, we're underneath the hill here at Auchmithie. What a cool spot this is. Overlooking the old abandoned harbour. The realest of adventures once again on the channel. And this must be a cool little spot to be camping. I think though, when the sea's high and like the winter storms and things, the tide comes right up to these pebbles. But I have seen lower tides at this time of year. So it probably makes for an excellent little camping spot. I just love spots like this. It's like carved into the solid bedrock, which is quite unique bedrock here. It's like sedimentary bedrock with those pebbles and things through it. But then also within this rock, it's got massive volcanic fissures, which look a bit like this. And they lead up right through the rock. So when you start looking closely at it, it's just incredible to see. Sometimes caves and stuff like that were actually just carved out because the softer rock just gets washed away. Look at that up there, the way the fissures run up the face of the rock, right through it. Anyway, I can feel the rain starting to come on. That's always a threat in Scotland, even on the best of days. Sometimes the rain can come on. Look at this, here's another little cave. It's like a miniature cave washed into this sedimentary rock. Wow, I'm just loving the scenes. On the old pictures of Auchmithie harbour, there's people standing out on the far side there, and there's proper like cement just like you see at this corner here. So it's just incredible to see how much has been washed away. You almost, when you see it, like, you can't believe how much of it's been washed away, because it's just immense, like the power of the sea and stuff like that. Look at this, there's a cool little feature here on the coast. There's actually a wee tunnel here which leads through the hill. So let's go and take a look, folks. Wow, here we go, we're going through the hill into another world. I love having stuff like this on the channel. It's like such a variation of places, and one minute it's abandoned buildings, next minute it's incredible like pieces of landscape like this. See, when you're in the middle of this, it's just mind-blowing. So special to see, so interesting to explore. And just think, when the tide's in, this is underwater, churning and gurgling. Wow. This is a rare piece of land round here, because like I say, it's not accessible when the tide's in. That's how I've hardly explored it. I think I was round here one time years ago, and I used to think that stone there's like a big shark's fin sticking out of the ground. Wow, even at this side you can see the layers of the bedrock. It's just mind-blowing scenes out here. It's like a Scottish postcard. Once again, we're right in the heart of it. Yeah, these are proper caves at this side. It's quite cool exploring caves. Just thinking, people may have been sheltering these caves over the years. Maybe people hid in these caves even. This one goes way in, quite far. See, I couldn't even remember this. Years ago I thought I had been round here, but I couldn't even remember that there was a cave leading away under here. Because this goes so far into the hill. Wow, this is scary, folks. We're so far under the hill right here. Wow, this is just ace. I love places like this, folks. It's like going to another dimension. It's like going to Mars or something. It's just so rocky and the rocks are so red. Look at that unusual lichen-y kind of stuff that's down there. It's like a light green kind of colour. And look, there's a piece of a creature sitting on that rock. Yeah, because I had seen like the harbour and stuff before, it's cool to come to these little bits here that I've not really explored in detail for years. And it's crazy sometimes when you come to a place, you often see details and things that you never noticed the last time. I just love this. Look, this is like a cave, but it's strange the way it goes in, because there's like an entrance in here and then a big entrance there. That's almost a stone column holding up the roof of this cave. Areas like this, being quite close to Arbroath and things like that, they're most likely used for camping and things quite regular. Wow, this is so special, folks. It's like different layers of a rock. It's like the red rock you imagine you would see in like Arizona or whatever, or out in a desert. These caves would have been carved not only from the water but also the wind and stuff over the years, because the sandstone's like so fragile. It's actually quite eerie being underneath a hill like this. Every year bits of this hill chip off and fall down. That's how you get chunks like this just lying about. Wow, it's so cool to come and document places like this. It's like the wild nature in small corners of Scotland. It's like hardly seen, hardly documented. Some of those caves, it's like there's a wee tunnel passage kind of leads on up the back. Anyway, let's keep this adventure going, folks. Sometimes I love coming to a place like this and just having a walk about, just keeping it moving, and I'm not even looking at anything in particular apart from just whatever I find. It's like spontaneous. Wow, this here is a crazy scene. Looking on towards these massive hills here. That is just something special right there, folks. It's like a natural cathedral leading on to the old abandoned harbour right there. And then this incredible shark's fin of stone right here. The Auchmithie shark's fin. It's a natural wonder of the land right here, folks, as seen on BKR. And the strange thing with these rocks, it's like different rocks, once you go further along there, they've got less pebbles throughout them and it's more smooth. And it's the same all the way until you get to the edge of this giant section. So it is interesting seeing the geology in these places, and how it can change just like half a mile further along. It can be totally different, and that's often just the way the stone was created. It's just been natural, like the seabed at a certain time down at like the equator, and as the tectonic plates move, they all just get pushed until they end up in places like this above sea level. Check it out, folks, there's a crab. Looks pretty fresh. Maybe been dropped there from a seabird. I was just thinking it'd be cool to take a wee peek around this corner and see what's a wee bit further around the coast here, because I think I've got a wee while before the tide comes high enough that it's going to obstruct my return. And I love exploring bits like this where I've never been before. I can actually see there's a house like right on the edge of the cliff there. I bet they get some incredible views out their window. I can hear birds nesting and making noises up on this hill. Up on this cliff here, the birds are skirling. So it's strange for me walking over this sandstone at the coast here. It really is an unusual terrain compared to the coastal terrains that I normally explore, like at Bodden and stuff like that, where it's more volcanic rock. Look at this, here's an Adidas trainer line there. An Adidas Samoa. Just think where that may have come from at a certain time. Think who may have walked about with that trainer on their foot. I bet they never thought it would end up here, in this wild paradise of Auchmithie. And just look at this part of the cliff's like a towering column. It's almost like a natural tower block in the land right here. Wow, this sandstone is just incredible, the way it's worn smooth. Wow, this is so cool, folks. I'm dying to see what's over the side here. It looks like a big gully leading in there to the other side of these stones. The way this is worn, you can just see the layers of the rock. Check this out, folks, there's like a secret cove in here with incredibly high sides on it. You can just imagine, it must be when there's high seas, the water ferociously wears its way in here. But it's crazy how far in this little cove is. It's just unusual. It's an unusual mark in the land here. And just check it out how the rocks is smooth sandstone until it gets to that layer. And then you get that pebbly sandstone, and that's just a different time in the Earth's geology. At one time the sediment at the bottom of the sea has been that fine stir, and then at a later time these massive boulders have somehow all been deposited. And it's crazy just to think about what cataclysms and biblical events may have caused so many pebbles to be left like that. First of all worn smooth and rounded, and then at a later time deposited and buried under layers and layers of sea. Wow, look at this. This is like some mad, like, what's the word, a canyon. It's like a gorge that I'm finding myself in the middle of. And there must be mad landslides and stuff here at certain times. There's just loads of wee bits of like heading through between. And it's just these sheer cliffs all around. Wow, folks. Probably if it wasn't this like heavy, overgrown conditions of summer, I would probably be able to walk further up there. But everything's just so mad at this time of year. I don't think I'll manage to get any further very safely. Wow, this is crazy, folks. I'm going to head on and just take a look around this corner if I can. So if anybody does explore these areas at Auchmithie, they just have to explore within their means, because these coastal rocks can be slippy and dangerous. There's some proper deep rock pools right there, folks, between these rocks. And I can't believe the way this coast is. It's like a minefield of sandstone and rock pools between it. The water almost looks blue right there. No way, we're going further. I've made it round that slippy bit. Wow, this is just crazy, folks. This landscape is insane. I just got the fright of my life, folks, because I stood on this rock and look, it moved. Hear it? But it's scary because these holes down here are so deep. That's probably like 10 foot down into a dark hole. And all these chunks of stone that I'm climbing across have just literally been washed down this hill, or like fallen down the hill here. So it is super dangerous, and I'm just trying to stay safe. But when one of those big stones starts to move and you're standing on it, it's just so scary. Yes, I've just about made it. No way, look at this rock here. It's just insane. Like, some of these rocks, the way they're formed, like, mind blowing. That's what I mean sometimes, how it's like coming to another planet when you see things like that. Wow, the redness of this sandstone at this side is just incredible as well. I love adventures like this into the wild terrains, folks. And it is super windy, and it's kind of sheltered at this side of the coast, which is cool. When I'm exploring routes like this, I'm remembering what way I go so I can return safely. Look at this, the way this stone here is like balancing above those two. Wow. And I've just noticed there's some mad looking caves at this far side, but I don't think I'll be able to get around as far. But we'll have a look. Wow, look at this. Wow, this is so dangerous, folks. Look, the sea's coming out below the rocks down here. That's insane. That shows you how below our feet it's like so deep, because the sea is literally like a way over there, but yet here it is funneling out of this tunnel like part in the rock. And that's how, if you fell down some if you fell down some of these holes, you could disappear forever. Wow, that cave goes away in there really far, and the water's pumping. Look at that, sloshing out of there. Yeah, there is some like caves just over here, but I'm not sure if I should risk it, because I have to try and get back as well. Yeah, it would be brilliant just to jump over. I probably could do it, but I still don't know if there's any way around at the far side of there, folks. On adventures like this, I'm just keeping the camera rolling, staying safe on this wild peninsula of land right here, between these two fissures of the different type of rock. Sometimes the pebbly rock here can be more slippy, because each pebble is obviously so shiny. Look where the light's shining in the water, it's almost like bluey green colour. Yeah, that was the caves that I could see, but the way all this sandstone is just here, it's just amazing to see. I do apologise for the wind at this point in the adventure, folks. What a beautiful scene that is. I can't even believe it. I love exploring places that I've never been before, and that was how when the tide was so far out, I was keen to come and have a look. That's so far down to the water, but I would easily be able to jump to there, but I better not risk it, because it is super dangerous and literally probably nobody knows where I am. So it's often you have to put safety first on these adventures. But there's a cool bit over here, it almost looks like a blue lagoon. So we'll go and take a look at that. See, there's another super deep gully. If you fell in a place like that, folks, it's like goodbye. Here we go, folks, there's a blue lagoon out here, which is pretty cool. I thought I would sneak over these rocks and try and record it. Wow. Check out the way the sun's shining into this lagoon. I'm trying not to slap in. I can see how absolutely deep it is. Wow. I love little corners of Scotland like this. You can see the underwater sea life right there. The way that all those plants and stuff are clinging onto the rocks. And it's crazy the way the water's just constantly dripping off up there. No way folks, this is crazy. I was literally standing here, a way to go down and record that hole in the rock, and a stone has just fallen off these rocks right here and landed there. And when I looked up, the dust was still coming off the underside of this bit here. One of those little stones just fell. There's a seagull up there as well. See the thing though, if one of those stones is moving, it just shows you the hill's constantly eroding. Because it's sandstone obviously, it's so soft. Look at that, it's one of those massive stones. It's like been chipped open at a certain time. It's so scary folks, because every time I look down through the stones there's massive deep holes. I'm not exaggerating to you when I say this is a super dangerous area. And also the fact that these stones are all just like balancing precariously. And wow, the water just looks like 10 foot deep down there as well. Every one of these stones has just got deep holes below it. Super eerie. But I've just about made it through this plethora of rocks right here folks. Yeah, look, there's rock pools and stuff worn into the solid rock. This big rock here though is just perched. There's two people out at sea there in a wee blue boat. Shout out if you're watching this video. It must be so cool when the sea's quite calm like that. It must be so cool to be out on a boat, having a flee about. They'll be able to explore bits of the coast and see caves that the common man won't see. Look at this strange mossy stuff on this rock. Look how light green it is. It's almost like some alien creation. I'm not going to lie to you folks, that was intense walking over that section of land there. Trying to keep my balance and trying not to slip down those deep holes. I had to be so careful. But that's what I love about these adventures. Whoa, look at this, the way the stone's worn. That piece there is just like sticking out like a leaf. One piece remaining at the corner of what would have been a massive piece of bedrock at a certain time. So an adventure like that was cool, but it was kind of unexpected because I wasn't even sure like if the tide was out or in. I was going to come down and have a look at the harbour and maybe the beach, but to see all this extra piece of land that I've never explored before, it's been so interesting. Check it out folks, we've made it past this shark's fin. Maybe there's a giant stone shark under the ground at this spot. And once again we're walking through this incredible labyrinth of caves, sea caves and wild rock. It's just mind blowing to me, like the different places I go, the different like landscapes. It's crazy, Scotland's got so much to offer, different terrains, just the ancient scenes it's all around. Even the geology itself is incredibly ancient. Some countries none of this stuff's on show. So we're quite lucky, and I'm especially lucky to have a lot of these places on my doorstep. And it's so much fun on these adventures just to keep going and seeing what's around the corner often. That's part of the adventure. It's the thrill of the explorer. And that's often when I find the coolest things, like military bunkers or anything like that. Abandoned houses even. It's crazy. It's always just because I'm out exploring or looking around. And check it out, we're once again going back through this incredible sea cave. Yes, what a special place this is. Whoa, there's so many midges out here folks. That's another part of exploring in Scotland. The little insects and creatures that flee about. So check it out folks, this is one of the bits where the rope would have been thrown over to moor the boats. And there used to be a massive one of these at the far corner of the harbour, where that big chunk of cement's on top of the stone there. It used to be one of these of equal proportion and size. There's an old photograph online of this place sitting. I'll include it if I still have it. But there's a cool photo with the people sitting out here and the boats all sitting with their little sails and things like that. And this is at one time where the harbour gate must have been mounted in. And you can actually see the hole within the cement there. Look how clear the sea is there, folks. If the wind wasn't rippling the top, it would be incredibly clear. Oh, what an adventure though. It's been cool this week to have the variation of things from the town, the old town of Brecon this week on the first video, and then the second video we were at the World War II shooting ranges, and then to see this, an abandoned bit of history and the wild coast. Those caves were so special to see, and it's rare that the tide's so far out. So if you look at the construction here, folks, you can see how the natural bedrock has originally been out there, and then they've built all the massive cement sections onto the top of the bedrock. So it's crazy to see how they've used the natural shape of the land to their advantage. And maybe this rock was like an original kind of natural harbour before the more proper industrial harbour got built. But it's crazy how all that industry and fishing and stuff's just moved on now, and these little harbour towns are no longer fishing towns. Places like this, it's just a ghost of the history. It's incredible to see how that iron roof has just corroded away at the bottom. It's only the most upper pieces of the tin that's left, and I think that's some sort of little sewage shed or watershed of sorts. And then at this side, this is the house I was theorising was for the fishing originally. Maybe related to the sorting out or whatever of the fish before it got sent away to the markets in the local towns. But also I think some of that was done up at the village as well, because there's some old Scottish postcards with Auchmithie on them, and you can see how the town and that used to be back in the day. It's quite interesting, but it's sad nowadays just to see how places like this look. Just abandoned and forgotten and turning back to nature. But that's what I love on this channel, recording these places so the history stays alive. In the future we can look back and see how the harbour wall stood. Right folks, that's me just about up at the little village of Auchmithie where I started this adventure. So I'm going to end this one here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with the next adventure, wherever I end up going.